Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Wow, we are on key.
That's me. I'm choking.
Yeah, wait. Can you? You're in the camera right now.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
That was a pretty good impression.
That's my James Earl Jones.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? You are listening / watching the Command Zone podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Wong.
How's it? It's Josh Lee Kwai. That actually turned into Sean Connery. How's it? It's Josh Lee Kwai.
The mother of runes. It's been a while. You know what my question was, is how did Darth Vader talk while simultaneously at the same time? You would think it'd be like, let me tell you. Hold on, let me catch my breath first.
It's true. I never thought about it.
Maybe it's just a different... You know what? It's a Star Wars thing. People have already explained it to death.
Yes.
Today...
I totally got lost. What are we doing?
We are talking about... we thought about Star Wars because of the word saga, and sagas are something that are a cool new card idea thingamabobber in...
Card type, right? They're a new card type.
Yeah, in Dominaria, which is a brand new set coming out very soon. People are very excited for good reason. It's a legend-based set, which means Commander players should get very stoked as well.
Also means we're going to be talking about a lot of cards. I'm looking at this list. This is like an old school.
Yeah.
This is like one of our old school set reviews where you remember how we used to like talk about like every card or almost every card?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay. All right. Well, you're going to.
4 pages of cards. It's going to be a long one, so strap in. And before we get going, this show is brought to you by cardkingdom.com/commandzone. We're talking about a lot of cards today. Guess where you can pre-order them / buy boxes of Dominaria. This set looks like it's going to be really fun to draft as well as just crack packs of. Each pack has a guaranteed legendary card in it, which is kind of neat.
Also, the buy a box promo for this set comes with a legendary creature. That's the only way to get it. You can't open it in a pack. You can only get it through the buy a box promo. So if you want that card, it's called Fire Song and Sunspeaker.
Yeah, you can get that single probably at cardkingdom.com/commandzone. Use that affiliate link. We love you. Bye.
Some other people we love is everybody over at Ultra Pro. You know, Ultra Pro recently came out with the 100 packs of Eclipse sleeves. You guys, your voices out there were all heard. Ultra Pro was listening, and they were like, yeah, 80 packs are really inconvenient for Commander players, but 100 packs are perfect.
Yes.
So they came out with a bunch of those, which is awesome because Eclipse sleeves are the best.
They seriously are.
Yeah.
So please check Ultra Pro out next time you're at your LGS. The final way to support the show is directly through Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/commandzone. We have a lot of awesome prizes there, which means you can actually sign up and get merchandise for free if you're a long enough patron. We also do a special thing where we call out one lucky patron every single episode, and this week's episode is dedicated to... Christian Olafur. I think there are like 5 umlauts in his name, so it's Olafur.
I'm not real great with the Scandinavian names, but yeah.
Pretty cool though. Christian. I'm all about that name. That's pretty sweet.
So I'm in Iceland a couple years ago, and something happened with our rental car, and I'm talking to the guy at the counter about it. And at the end, he was very helpful. So I was like, "What's your name?" Because I was gonna write and be like, "This guy was really helpful." And he's like, "Oh, you probably won't be able to say it." And I was like, "Okay, well, try it. Try me." And he's like, "It's Horador." And I was like, "Oh, that's no problem, Horador." And he's like, "No, Horador." And I'm like, Horador. And nope, Horador. And I'm like, I feel like I'm saying what you're saying. Eventually, I was like, okay, just write it down for me. And then
that's great. That's amazing.
Cool story. On to the set review for Dominaria. Okay, let's just jump right in because we got a lot to talk about. So we always start with the new mechanics. Mm-hmm. We referred to, this isn't exactly a new mechanic. Sagas are technically an enchantment, right?
Yeah.
So sagas are... Sorry, I said new card type earlier. It's not actually a new card type. So if it's in your graveyard, it doesn't count as its own card type for like Emrakul or whatever, right? It's an enchantment. But there are new card...
Subtype.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Subtype. I was looking for the word. So it's an enchantment. I like how you put this. It has 3 chapters.
I believe that's what they. How they describe it as well.
Okay, so it comes in, and it's going to go through 3 phases. And so when it hits the battlefield, it's going to activate the first phase. And then after your draw step... it's going to go to the second phase, and then your next draw step, it'll go to the third phase. So it's kind of like a lot of people have compared them to like planeswalkers. Mm-hmm. How like a planeswalker play pattern very often is like plus it, ultimate.
Right.
You know, so Saga is kind of automated. You don't have choices.
Yeah. And it happens after your draw step. They're called lore counters, and all of the sagas we've seen so far have 1, 2, and 3 on them, written in Roman numerals. I kind of liken it to the crank mechanic in unstable.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I never thought of that.
Well, except in this case, something happens every single time. Some of the sagas have things that happen first and second. The exact same thing happens. Sometimes it's different for all 3. But yeah, the third one is usually like the big whammy of the 3. It's usually tied to the other ones. We'll be talking about pretty much all of them on the show today. But yeah, very exciting. And after 3 lore counters, it's sacrificed. What's interesting is if you remove a lore counter, it doesn't trigger the prior chapter.
It's only when you add one?
It's only when you add one. But you can take them off and then re-trigger certain chapters.
Oh, so if you took it off and then the next turn, it would go to the next one and maybe re-trigger?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So you can take all 3 off and have it start back at 1. You can take 1 off and have it go back to 2, you know.
So there's some possibility of manipulating the counters.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. The next sort of new mechanic, it's not really a mechanic, but they've kind of created a new keyword. It's historic. And historic means artifacts, legendary, and saga cards. So if a card refers to historic, that's what it's referring to. Any card that's an artifact, a legend, or a saga.
Yeah, and oftentimes they'll say if you cast a historic card, so a legendary land like Gaia's Cradle, or and it won't actually affect it.
It won't trigger because you're not
casting it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then finally, now again, not a new mechanic, but a new thing is now that we have so many legendary creatures, there are legendary sorceries. So these sorceries are a card type of a legendary is an added thing onto it, and you can only cast them if you control a legendary creature or a planeswalker. And all of the legendary cards in this set, as you'll see if you're watching the video, have a cool new frame at the top that kind of looks like a crown / I don't know how you describe it. It's got
some flair.
It's got some flair, yeah. So you'd be very easily identifiable.
Whether it's legendary or not.
Yeah.
The legendary sorceries, the flavor is really cool because you have to have a character in play on your side that could cast that spell, right?
Yeah,
you need a legendary creature or a planeswalker. That's kind of where that comes from. There are a couple of returning mechanics. So Kicker is back. Kicker is a mechanic where you can pay an additional cost in addition to the cost that's in the top right corner of the card. So in addition to the regular CMC, and then you'll usually get like an additional effect, like creature might come in with +1/+1 counters or something like that. It might create tokens if you kick it.
I'm pretty sure I didn't actually include any of the kicker cards in the set review because for the most part, they're, I think, more for limited.
Yeah.
In this set, there weren't any that like blew me away.
That were like, hey, this is good in Commander.
Yeah.
Kicker cards in general don't see a ton of play in Commander. There are some.
Yeah. And finally, Hexproof From is an addition to Hexproof. So now you can be Hexproof from black, which means you can't be targeted by spells that have that are black spells. So it's an addition to Hexproof.
Do you think they're trying to sort of clean up Protection From? Because Protection is really hard to understand.
Protection is very hard to understand. Hexproof From, I think so, maybe. But Protection still, they do protections from creatures. Maybe they're trying to get rid of protection from colors because I think that's a little.
Yeah, so I mean, like Protection from white is hexproof from white, but also like can't be blocked by white.
Blocked by,
but you can be like wrathed, but not damaged.
Yeah.
Maybe I think they're trying to like clean up that rule a little bit.
Yeah.
Still have it exist, but not in the same way it did. That's just a guess. Okay. Well, we always begin with the new legendary creatures, which for this set, usually there's like 5.
Yeah, this set it feels like there's close to 100.
We can't even talk about all of them.
Yeah.
There's so many. So we're sorry some of the uncommons and commons we may skip over.
I don't think there are any common legendaries, but I think
Oh, there aren't?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we will definitely, unfortunately, have to miss a few of them.
There's just too many, and a lot of them, let's be honest, like you're probably not going to use them as your commander.
Yeah.
Some of these may be brawl commanders. I don't know. Should we even talk about things in the...
I'd say if it's a good brawl commander, we'll be like, this might be good for brawl. But then we'll move past it. As in, the format hasn't been really discovered yet. I don't think we can add that much by talking too much about it.
All right, let's begin with Adeliz.
The Cinderwind.
The Cinderwind. Is that how you say it?
I guess so. It is cinder is a regular English word, and wind.
No, I meant Adeliz.
Yeah, sure.
Is that how you say cinder?
Yeah, that's how you say cinder. Some people say kinder, but that's like the eggs, and so you can really get that confused. Adelez. Either way, we can't get too tied up on it.
Adeliz. Liz, the Cinderwind. Okay,
there we go.
Costs 1 blue-red for a legendary creature, human wizard. It's a 2/2 flyer with haste. 3 mana 2/2 flyer with haste, not bad. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, wizards you control get +1/+1 until end of turn.
Neat.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of wizards, and the wizards is a sub-theme in this set, and we know we can use all the tribal cards from before. So, sure. Probably more of a Brawl commander.
Or in the deck, if you have a lot of wizard synergy. There was a card back, I forget, it was like the newer, it was in Eldritch Moon. It made wizards.
Right. It was...
it's like the new Delver-esque.
Docent of Perfection.
Docent of Perfection, yeah. So this is a card that would work in the deck like that. Probably not as your commander, though.
Also, could just go in the Anala deck, maybe?
Yeah. Ariel, I think that's how you pronounce it. Not like the princess.
That's it. That's as far as I'm going.
Knight of Windgrace. She's not kissing no boys. She's riding a sweet...
She's riding a panther.
A panther,
She looks awesome.
She looks awesome. Much more badass than Ariel that just wanted feet. Sorry. 2, a black and a white legendary creature, Human Knight. It's a 4/4 with Vigilance. You can pay 2 and a white to tap her and create a 2/2 white knight creature token with Vigilance. And you can pay black to tap X untapped knights you control. Destroy target creature with power X or less. This card, I think, is moderately powerful. The fact that you have to tap on both sides of her abilities makes this far worse, and that you're tapping creatures to do so. The synergy is saying, your knights can attack with Vigilance, and then you can tap them for additional value later.
White has a few untap type effects, but really you want to be in blue and or green to take advantage of Then I think it would be a lot more powerful because you could untap it and do it a couple times. Yeah, it seems fine.
Seems like a Brawl commander.
All right, the next one is Baird, Steward of Argive.
Yeah, that's definitely how you pronounce it. This guy looks cool too. Man, the art in this set is out of control. You better be watching the video.
The cool flare around the card, it totally changes the look of the card. It looks sweet.
Yeah.
All right, 2 white, Baird, Steward of Argive again, is a legendary human soldier, 2/4, has Vigilance. Creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. So he's like half a Propaganda.
Yeah.
But also says can't attack planeswalkers you control, which Propaganda and Ghostly Prison do not say.
Yeah. If you need more of this effect, go for it. He is a monocolored legendary creature, though, so I don't think you're making this a commander anytime soon.
A mono white deck? Nope.
Not
It's
even
a Brawl
good.
commander.
I was gonna say not even good for Brawl, but sure.
Actually, I think it might be good for Brawl because creatures do rule that format because there is not a lot of board wipes.
True.
And creatures are just really good in Standard in general. So
now another art that just freaking blows me away is Danitha Capuchin Paragon. 2 and a white for a legendary creature, Human Knight, for a 2/2 with First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. Whew, it's an uncommon. This thing is gonna beat people down in Limited.
yeah.
Aura and equipment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So it's a great, very good utility creature. Obviously, if you're running a deck that cares, like a SRAM deck would be
the first thing I thought of.
Sweet with this card. But yeah, really awesome art, great card, but not a commander. Maybe good for Brawl. Actually, not good for Brawl. There's not enough equipment, I think, and stuff in Standard to really...
Probably not. And you really want those, for like SRAM or something, you want those low-cost equipment.
Yeah.
Although this makes them cost less, so maybe it would make something that normally is bad good. I don't know.
I mean, somewhat better is how I describe it.
Make it somewhat better. All right. The next one is Darigaz Reincarnated.
Now we have a commander.
And it costs like a real amount. It's 4 generic plus black, red, and green. So it's 7 mana.
Junned them out.
For a legendary creature, Dragon. 7/7 with flying, trample, and haste. 7/7 is, it's like the Elder Dragon. So
it's 1/3 of lethal for commander damage.
For commander damage, yeah. No commander damage in Brawl, however, so it's
yeah.
not a Brawl commander.
Not good for Brawl.
If Darigaz Reincarnated would die, instead exile it with 3 egg counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Darigaz is exiled with an egg counter on it, you remove an egg counter, and then if there are no egg counters, then you return it to the battlefield. So you kind of suspend 3 when it dies, right?
Yeah, which is kind of neat. For a 7-drop commander, I could see it being kind of fun in a Jund deck. I don't know if I would play this as a commander. It's pretty simple outside of its reincarnation ability.
Although from what I've seen of the form, yeah.
But for Brawl?
For Brawl, from what I've seen, it would actually be pretty powerful because there's a 7/7 flyer is legit in that format.
Yeah, that thing is... And
With
it's got
haste and trample?
That's the big thing. Is
It will actually end games. So
yeah.
And you want to be in more colors. As far as for Commander, yeah.
You know, it actually does act like a suspend card because when they come to the battlefield, they have haste, technically, because you.
Oh, that's true. That's probably why they gave it haste. Yeah, interesting.
Well, the first time you cast this, too, is just... Whew, someone's taking 7.
It's okay. I mean, in Commander, I don't think it's very good at all. And I mean, why would you ever run this over like Prosh? Like ever? You know what I mean? It doesn't do anything.
Josh, the children's dreams. We must keep them alive.
Okay.
Demon Lord Belzenlock. This guy's not interested in keeping any dreams alive. Actually, this guy's probably the dreamiest out of all of them. He's 4 black for a...
He's got 6-pack abs.
He's an Elder Demon. If you're he's got like, I don't know what's going on with his...
He's got some obliques.
These obliques.
He works out the obliques.
He works out a lot. This guy's shredded. Body goals. 4 black for a 6/6 flying trample. He's an Elder Demon. I don't know if you've seen many of those.
Another EDH, Elder Demon
yeah,
Highlander, Elder Dinosaur Highlander, Elder Dragon Highlander. They don't make elders of other. They probably have, and someone's gonna yell at me.
We have a new Game Nights episode coming out now. This may be one of the demons that I think Liliana has pledged part of her soul
like
to.
It.
Now this card is sweet. I think when Demon Lord Belzenlock enters the battlefield, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Then put that card into your hand. If the card's converted mana cost is 4 or greater, repeat this process. And it deals 1 damage to you for each card put into your hand this way. You can build your entire deck to be drawn when you play this card.
You probably don't want to do that, but you can have a very high CMC deck.
Yeah.
In general. I mean, you still want some 2-drops and stuff, right?
Nah, for a 6-drop commander, why would you ever want to ramp him out?
Nah.
Just play Cabal Coffers and stuff. Well, I mean, it's cool because, I mean, you cast a 6/6, pay 6 mana. If it comes with draw 3 on it,
you're always going to get 1 card.
You're always going to get 1 card, right?
Yeah. And then, and you can always scroll rack, Sensei's Divining Top, stuff like that, to just guarantee that you're going to get a couple or whatever.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it's an interesting card. Probably not so good for Brawl.
So the next one is the promo that's only available it's the Buy a Box promo, which I'd be interested to hear what listeners and watchers out there think about this, because I don't think they've done this before, right? Where they're releasing a card that's only available as a Buy a Box promo, and it's not available.
I don't know, actually. Usually their Buy a Box promos were, I remember, like Goblin War Leader, one of the Goblin War, whatever, was like, it's just a foil alternate art version. So it's nothing like, oh, wow, if you don't have this, then you're out of luck. But in this case, I'll be interested to see if the stock is really affected, how many there are in the marketplace.
I think fortunately, I guess it's fortunate that it's not like super good.
Yeah.
Because I think if they made a card that was like really good, or was, God forbid, standard playable good, then the price would be astronomical. So they're going to have to be real careful when they do this. This card is just fine. So it's 4 red-white. It's Boros for a 4/6 legendary creature Minotaur Cleric. It says red instant and sorcery spells you control have lifelink. Just red ones, not white ones. Whenever a white instant or sorcery spell causes you to gain life, Fire Song and Sunspeaker deals 3 damage to target creature or player. So your red instants and sorceries, lifelink. Your whites, if they gain you life, also lightning bolt stuff.
Yeah.
You get kind of a free lightning bolt if you cast a life gain instant or sorcery, which you're not going to because those spells are bad.
Yeah. I mean, but in this deck, they're better.
Yeah, but I still don't think you would want to run like a bunch of, maybe like congregate a couple, but what are you going to do? Like a bunch of like healing solves and stuff?
I don't know. It turns
just so like, oh, I can get a lightning bolt, which is not even a good.
Yeah. I mean, I remember actually Andy kind of made this card in our Commander Summit. He was talking about how this, like, oh, if you give your cards lifelink, because we were talking about
what's that white one with has a red and blue activated cost?
She's doing this in the art. It's like Jeskai. Either way, it's an interesting take on how you could sort of expand what a Boros commander could do, but it's still not drawing you cards, and it's not giving you any ramp. So it still is a very difficult sell for me to think it's going to be a good commander.
On Twitter, a lot of people got excited about this card, and I hate to dash their hopes, but this does not change the paradigm for Boros in any way. Nope. It doesn't give them a tool that they haven't had before. Yeah. They've had life gain before. They've had direct damage before. They need card draw and ramp. That's what will make them viable in a multiplayer format.
Yeah. Even if it's impulsive draw, even if it's exiling off the top of your library, anything is better than...
Yeah, just kind of getting like extra lightning helix is not enough.
Yeah. All right, this next one's interesting. Evra, Halcyon Witness, 4 white for a legendary creature avatar. She's a 4/4.
Oh yeah, this one is interesting.
With lifelink. and you can pay 4 mana and exchange your life total with Evra, Halcyon Witness's power. Now you're thinking, she's a 4/4. Why would I ever want to do that? Well, let's say you get to swing with Evra, Halcyon Witness.
Somebody's got no blockers, or maybe you have like a, Whisper Silk cloak.
You have some kind of protection on her. Maybe you give her haste. You switch your life total with her. All of a sudden she's a 44. Let's say you haven't taken any damage with lifelink. You hit someone with her.
She's got lifelink.
Your life goes back up to 44 because you gained 40 when she hit someone for 40, and she might just single-handedly kill someone. So,
by the way, commander damage.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. You're hitting them for 40. They're dead anyway, but okay.
But you do get the lifelink back. That's the idea. But you put yourself in a ridiculously dangerous position by essentially putting your life total down to 4 and hoping that you're going to get an attack step through. Now, here's the thing. This could just get someone out of nowhere, but she's a 6-drop. I think most people see it coming. It requires 4 mana to use her ability. And
she's in mono white, so you don't have the ability really to give her haste that much. You could...
She's in the deck. She's not a commander.
Yeah, because I think if people see it as your commander, once you have 6 mana available, they're just always going to be ready for that particular little gambit.
Yeah, or 7 mana because you need Swiftfoot Boots or something.
Yeah, but if she's in your deck, I mean... Yeah, if you just have Lightning Greaves on the table, my first thought's not going to be like, oh, he's going to cast Evra and hit me for 40. So, you could probably get people that way.
Yeah. It's cool. I like this card a lot, actually.
Then it's a 44, and you are at 44 life.
Yeah.
Right? And the next time it hits, you're at 84 life. And then you can switch your life and give it 84 power.
Yeah.
And then be at, 128 life, and then switch it.
If you gave this thing double strike...
Oh...
and then just start switching life totals. Okay, we're in real dreamland now. But Evra's cool. This is really an interesting card design. I've never seen anything like it, but it's cool. It's a high risk, high reward sort of situation.
There's tons of cards in Magic's history that if they just hit somebody, Sire of Insanity type stuff,
right?
It's really bad. And the thing you've learned the more you play is that those cards rarely hit anybody.
Yeah. Because people,
they'll do everything to not get hit by it.
Just not die on the spot.
All right, so the next one is Garna, the Blood Flame.
Oh, man. These cards look so cool, and it's 2 colors with the new frames.
It's so sweet. Okay, 3 black, red, 5 mana total for a 3/3 legendary creature, Human Warrior, has Flash. I like this. When Garna enters the battlefield, return to your hand all creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn. From anywhere. Mm-hmm. And other creatures you control have haste.
Wow.
So you return to your hand creature cards from your graveyard that were put there from anywhere. And if you cast them, if you could cast them somehow, you can give them haste.
Yeah.
It doesn't give Garna haste, though.
But you flash her in end step,
yeah,
right?
You flash her in end step. The put there from anywhere part, that's insane.
Yeah, it can be from exile. It can be from the top of your library. Yeah. It's a way to draw a ton of cards without having to actually pay that much.
It's not hard to dredge 6 in a turn, and then just get 5 creatures went there from your library that turn, or self-mill. Yeah, this one has potential as far as a value commander.
Yeah, it has a lot of potential also, I think, as a Brawl commander. This is an uncommon. This is just going to get people in Limited.
I mean, it's harder in Limited to sort of cheat cards into your graveyard. You'll probably get 1 card back with it.
But even if it's like, hey, let's trade off creatures, boom, Garna, get my card back. It's like, oh, whoops.
It's true. So you can flash it in and eat something too, although it's 5 mana.
Yeah, it's got potential, We love potential. Now, this one also has a lot of potential. Really interesting card. Grand Warlord Radha. 2 a red and a green for a 3/4 legendary creature elf warrior. She looks like she is about to mess you up.
She already messed that dude up.
Yeah, she has haste. Whenever one or more creatures you control attack, add that much mana in any combination of red and or green until end of turn. You don't lose this mana as steps and phases end.
So for each creature that attacks, you get a red and or green.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh man, that's really good.
You can go infinite with the attack one.
The one that
attack steps,
extra attack step. Yeah. Aggravated assault.
Aggravated assault. Yeah. So,
there's a few other ways to sort of.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's that one dragon that added a bunch of mana as well. But in this
Savage
case,
Bentmaw.
Yeah, this case is just a 4-drop with haste. She's gonna give you a mana back if you play her from your hand if you attack with her, and you could make a token deck out of this and really get out of control. I think in your second main phase.
Anything that just adds a ton of mana is a real card.
Yeah.
Like that, you can win with just cards that just it adds a ton of mana.
Yeah, not to mention this happens as soon as they attack,
Yeah.
so you don't actually have to wait. It's not like given to you in your second main phase. You can do it within the combat step before damage happens. You know, you can do it when blockers are declared. You can use that mana up. So lots of different tricky things you can do with Grand Warlord. This actually, I think, could make a really good Brawl Commander.
Yes, I do.
Right? You just turn them sideways. What are they going to do?
It's true, and there's a lot of creatures in that format, and it's hard to board wipe. So
Yeah.
okay, the next one is Halar the Fire Fletcher. Fire Fletcher makes fire arrows. Okay, 1 red-green for a 3/3 legendary creature. Of course, Elf Archer has Trample, 3 mana 3/3 Trample. Whenever you cast a spell, if that spell was kicked, put a 1/1 counter on Halar. Then Halar deals damage equal to the number of 1/1 counters on it to each opponent. So that second part,
Yeah, that second part is
ridiculous. And also, so if you put a 1/1 counter on Halar through not kicker, you don't get the damage part, right? So, but you could still do that. You could still put a bunch of counters on Halar with some card that just says put, X 1/1 counters on it. And then kick a spell. And at that point, it'll count all the 1/1 counters from before. It doesn't.
Now the question is does it also read whenever you cast a spell, Halar deals damage equal to the number of plus and plus counters on each opponent? Because it's if the spell was kicked, you put a plus and plus counter on her. So
and
you
then Halar.
Yeah.
So I think the spell has to be kicked for Halar to deal the damage.
Yeah. Pretty insane.
But
if you're able to add a ton of plus and plus counters, which green is likely to do.
Yeah, I could see a deck where just like boom, boom, 40 damage, everybody.
Yeah, right. You doubling season it up. You just find a way to sack the counters on her, and then you just have to kick one spell.
Yeah, exactly. So the deck probably has like only 10 spells with kicker on it. The whole deck. You're just looking to sort of,
right,
go supernova one time.
We should have done the Beastie Boys kick it for this, even though kicker is I guess this is the only card we're gonna talk about today. Actually has kicker, I think. So
there you go. It doesn't even have kicker. It just talks about it.
It just talks about kicker. Yeah. All right. Next up, Joyra, Weatherlight Captain.
This one's sweet.
Yeah, this one's sweet. 2 blue and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature, Human Artificer. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. Again, historic spells are artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. So.
People were really upset a few years back when they did the partner commanders or whatever, and they didn't give blue-red a artifact commander.
Yes.
This is an artifact commander.
You found it right here. It's not just an artifact commander. It's a legendary commander and very specifically a saga commander.
But you could just build an artifact deck, not have any sagas and, not really any legendaries if you didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
And still make the artifact version of your blue-red artifact deck.
Yeah.
And just have Joyra be the captain of it.
Joyra is the captain, you said?
Yes, the Capitan.
Oh, Captain,
Yo no
my
soy
captain.
marinero.
Joyra is very powerful. Not to mention, you just add a couple of artifact reducing cost cards, and you're probably able to string together some huge runs with this kind of card. This is the play with my side of the board and then try and kill you kind of deck.
Yeah, I mean, it's like play 1 or 0 or, get those mana reducers and just string together, like, play this, draw a card, play that, draw a card, play that, draw a card.
What's that 0-drop or Bone Shredder or whatever? Like that really bad equipment. Like, you're going to play cards like that just because it's a cantrip on it. It's
maybe the new Mox.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you talk about this one.
Sure.
You can spoil that. Why I'm letting you do it. Yeah.
So this card we've already known about, but it's Joda, Archmage Eternal, or Archmage. It's 1 and Jeskai, so blue, red, and white, for a 4/3 legendary creature, human wizard with flying. And Joda says, you may pay white, blue, black, red, green, rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. So basically, anything that you cast, it could be a 1-drop, a 2-drop, all the way up to an 11-drop. You can pay Wooburg instead. Maybe even 16, if those cards exist. You can pay 5 mana instead.
It has to be Wooburg specifically.
Wooburg, yeah. So Progenitus coming out for 5. Emrakul, the legal one.
Kozilek.
Yeah. This card seems very powerful for a good reason. It allows you to play a Wooburg deck, and this is actually the deck that I played on game nights.
Well, will play. Yeah.
On game nights.
So I played Muldrotha, or I'm playing Muldrotha, and this is going to be Jimmy's deck in that. We won't give away anything else, but it's sweet.
Yeah, and mana reduction, as we always say, cheating a mana cost, very powerful.
Probably the single most powerful thing you can do in Magic.
Yep.
Also, it allows you to play a 5-color deck. And honestly, most of the Wooburg commanders are not that great. I use Chromat as my commander of my Hidden Nekusar deck because there was just not like great options. Child of Alara is kind of generically powerful, but
it's hard to build around, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Child of Lara, destroy all permanents. Like, how are you going to build a deck around that unless you just want to wipe the board constantly?
Yeah, I mean, you can do the make my stuff indestructible type of thing. And but Joda is sort of, I think, even more generic where you could build those Wooburg decks people want to build that are really built around some an enchantment or a mechanic or whatever. And Joda can kind of be, the glue that holds that together and allows you to play 5 colors, and also does matter for the deck because anything that costs, more than 5, you're getting a discount on. Sometimes huge discount.
Yeah, even at its face, if you just play them as a 9-mana, play any card in my deck out of my hand, right? Because you could have a bunch of 13, 12 drops or whatever. Even just 9-mana to cast them for the first time and then pay Uberg. That might also be worth it at some points.
You just Wooburg one time for Omniscience, you're good.
Yes, there you go. We found the combo. I lied. There is one card with kicker on it. Josh, take it away.
Oh, there might be more. I don't think. Okay, it's Josu Ves. Is this like Liliana's brother or something?
Oh, maybe.
Isn't Liliana Ves?
I mean, he is a zombie, so maybe she.
Oh,
named
didn't
him.
she? Oh, yeah, we know that story about her brother. Didn't she?
Wait, is this her brother?
Like, sick, and then she like.
Now he became this guy?
This is like the one Vorthos story I know because I don't know why.
Dang.
But,
Talk about a glow up.
So Josu Ves, Lich Knight.
If it's him.
2 black for a 4/5 legendary creature, Zombie Knight. Has kicker 5 and a black, so you may pay an additional 5 and a black as you cast this spell.
10 mana total if you decide to kick this card.
It has menace, 4/5 menace. When Josu enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, create 8. Create 8. That's the number after 7. 2/2 black zombie knight creature tokens with menace. So if you kick it, you get a 4/5 with menace and 8 2/2 zombie knights.
With menace. So for 10 mana, you get 20 power worth of creatures, which is actually very good. This is definitely a way to swing the entire board state in your favor in a jiffy.
They're zombies too, so that can matter.
Yes.
It can definitely matter.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know.
Why not? Yeah.
It's probably a Brawl Commander. I don't know.
I could see this in the big mana black zombie deck.
Sure. I just think there's better zombie commanders even in mono black.
For sure. I mean, you would play this in a Scarab God deck or something.
But you can't kick it.
I mean, well, when you do kick it, then you're scrying for 8 and draining everyone for 8.
That's a good point.
Or 9.
That's a good point. But you can't, if you do the Embalm or Eternalize thing, you don't get the...
Yeah.
You only get Josu.
Yeah. So, maybe it's just good for...
Brawl. I mean, it could be in a deck. I just don't think you're building a deck around Josu, probably.
No. Here's another, perhaps a Brawl commander, who knows. Lyra Dawnbringer. Let's just take a look at this art for a second.
The art is sweet.
Anytime they add like that effect, the mosaic sort of the stained glass window effect.
Right, that's what it is. Oh. It reminds me of that. There's that shot we use as our animated background. I forget what card it is. It's from Return to Ravnica.
Everyone loves it. Yeah, it's 1 white, black.
It's like looking
Wings
down.
of Orzhova.
That's
Gift of Orzhova.
Gift of Orzhova.
Yeah, people consider that one of the greatest arts in Magic's history.
That's what all this reminds me of. It's so sweet.
It's awesome. Yeah. 3 white, legendary creature, angel, 5/5, flying, first strike, and lifelink. So
a 5-mana 5/5 flying first strike lifelink. Dear Lord.
Yeah. And other angels you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. So she's an angel lord.
Yeah.
And she says you are not alone. You never were, which is very comforting to me just in general. So thank you, Lara.
Thank you, Lara. Maybe Angel Tribal. I don't know. Who's the Angel Tribal commander right now?
You would put this in like Sigarda, maybe if you wanted to do that. And then you'd put other cards like, I don't know, just any other, you do the Archangel of Thune deck,
Sure. Okay.
So there you go.
There you go. All right. The next one is Marwyn the Nurturer.
This is a Josh Lee Kwai card.
It's 2 and a green for a 1/1 Elf Druid. It's already a Josh Lee Kwai card. Doesn't attack it.
Everyone's like, wait, what?
Whenever another elf enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Marwyn.
Might attack.
And then you can tap and add an amount of green equal to Marwyn's power.
Hey. Midwife to mothers and leader to all.
Seems good.
Yeah, seems good. You can even put equipment on her and just all of a sudden she's tapping for a bunch of mana. So
yep. Sword of Feast and Famine. Think about how much mana you have available. That just makes me happy.
Yeah. So obviously a pretty cool card. Art, again, out of control.
I think there are probably better elf commanders, though. So it's probably in the 99.
Yeah. I would say out of all the cards we're talking about today, maybe 2 or 3 of them are good for the commanders. We're about to talk about another one here, and the rest are in the 99.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how it usually goes.
This one's good as a commander. It's going to be one of... maybe not tier 1, but it's going to be Very, very good.
You will grow to hate this card.
I agree. This will be the most popular, I bet, from this set.
It's that or Joda, I think.
Yeah. It is our preview card, Muldrotha the Gravetide. 3 black, green, blue for a 6/6 legendary elemental avatar. It says, during each of your turns, you may play up to 1 permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard. And then it says, if a card has multiple permanent types, choose one as you play it. So if you've got like a artifact creature and you play it from your graveyard with Muldrotha, you can say, well, that's my artifact for turn, so I can still play a creature out of my graveyard, or vice versa.
Right.
We talked about this 2 or 3 episodes ago. We're shooting these out of order, so I'm getting
2
confused.
episodes, I think.
It's amazing.
It is beyond amazing. In Brawl, out of control, because there just aren't many effects that deal with the graveyard. Now, in Commander, you better hope you have a Scavenging Ooze on the battlefield, or a Bojuka Bog, or multiple Bojuka Bogs. I think that's where this card gets scary, is that even if you do exile the graveyard once, if you're able to refill it back up, you're almost back to where you started, just with a different kind of hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, this card is absurd.
We'll probably break down my Brawl deck at some point, just as we'll break down Jimmy's Joda deck, so we won't go into it super deep here.
You know, why did I never make a Yoda joke?
Yoda.
Archmage Eternal.
Yeah, Yoda. That's not even Yoda's.
That's not even Yoda's. Yeah. But that is by far the best Star Wars song, and that isn't the Imperial March. All right, the next is Multani Yavamaya's Avatar, 4 green for a 0/0 legendary creature elemental avatar with reach and trample. Multani gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land card in your graveyard. So if you're just
casting Liege.
Yeah. So if you're just casting this with regular mana, it becomes a 6/6. And if you have fetch land stuff in your graveyard, it gets even bigger.
Yep.
And you can pay 1 in the green, return 2 lands you control to their owner's hand, and you can return Multani from your graveyard to your hand.
So it's hard to kill. Also goes really well probably in like a Gitrog monster.
Yeah. As if he needed help.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I know. Gitrog's already awesome. Yeah, I don't think, again, maybe it's a good Brawl commander, but it's not. It probably isn't good in Brawl. Monocolor is not that great in Brawl because you just don't have as deep of a card pool.
Right. Shout out to Ryan Yee. Great art. Love that guy.
All right, the next one is Naban, Dean of Iteration. 1 in a blue for a 2/1 human wizard, legendary, of course. If a wizard entering the battlefield under your control causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time wizard Panharmonicon.
Yeah, Wizard Panharmonicon.
It doesn't say the Wizard Panharmonicon part on the card. I added that myself.
You know, this is pretty much Professor in a card because he just never stops repeating himself, right? Here he is. He loves wizards, not as much as Merfolk, but... And can't you just read his flavor text? Perfect. Now, do it again. That's 100% him.
This card is good.
Yeah, it's 1 in the blue, too. It's very cheap to have this enchantment-esque effect.
And we already know the Anala deck there's enough wizards with ETB effects.
Yeah.
And it's also, if a wizard entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger. So it doesn't have to trigger a wizard.
Right.
It's just a wizard has to trigger it.
Yeah.
So a card that says, if a creature enters the battlefield under your control, do something.
X, yep.
If as long as the wizard is what triggered it, you're going to do that twice. So it's pretty interesting. I bet there's some crazy interactions.
Definitely. And one of them maybe with this card.
Naru Miha, Master Wizard. 2 blue for a 3/3 human wizard, legendary, has flash. When Naru enters the battlefield, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy, and then other wizards you control get +1/+1.
So she's a flash lord that copies, it copies a target or instant or sorcery.
So if Naban's out, you double fork something?
Yeah, pretty interesting. Causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, including itself in this case. So you would double copy a spell with Naban out on the battlefield.
So it's dual caster mage plus your wizards get +1/+1.
And basically. It has flat. Yeah, right. And dual caster costs 1 less, but it's still pretty interesting.
Seems really good. I love these when somebody's extra turn spell or something.
Oh gosh.
It's not as great because yours actually resolves first, so they get to take the extra turns first, but still.
But still, indeed. Okay, we are jumping down to the R's now. And this card, I think, is going to be one of...
was it this person's... Because there's another Capuchin earlier, wasn't there? Okay.
Yes, it's right here. This Capuchin.
No, there was another one. There was like a...
Oh, there's more Capuchins?
No, there wasn't there like that first strike lifelinking one?
Oh, yes.
It's like the sister?
Denitha Capuchin.
Yeah.
They look like they might be related. Who knows? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised considering they share the exact same last name.
I mean, it's probably just a coincidence.
yeah, it's magic. There are no coincidences.
They probably didn't even think about that. They're like, really? They do have the same last name?
Who did this? Guys, did we know that we gave the same? Okay.
James Bianca, get him in here right now.
Yeah, we haven't talked to Bianca in a while. We got to bring him back on the show. I want to see what he's done in recent years.
He did. He named the sister and the brother Capuchin.
Oh, wait, really?
No, I don't know. I have no idea. This card's awesome, by the way. Okay,
Someone's
sorry.
screaming in the show being like, I did it. This card is awesome. I think this card is going to see a lot of play in general.
Did a lot of people tweet this at you when it got spoiled? Because they did to me because of Vidal Canori.
Really?
They were like, well, we know Josh is going to play it.
Oh, that's super funny. I think no one tweeted at me because I'm probably not as active on you in the Magic Twitter world, but I think they're right. This card is absurd.
Yeah.
I think any blue-white deck...
It's a Vidal Canori with Flash.
Yeah, you're going to be very hard-pressed to not be playing this in pretty much any deck that can play it.
Yeah, okay, let's read it. People are like, what does it do?
Everyone at home is watching can already see. It's Wrath Capuchin, Ship's Mage, 2 a blue and a white for a 3/3 legendary creature, human wizard. It's got Flash, it's got Flying, and it says you may cast historic spells as though they had Flash. So that gives your artifacts, legendaries, and saga cards historic, which includes planeswalkers, by the way.
Man, you could Flash out of Vidal Canori with this.
The 1-2 punch, they never saw it coming. Hey guys, watch me spend 8 mana and do nothing to the board.
I mean, if this is your commander, it's super scary once you get to like 8 or 9 mana.
Yeah.
Because you don't even have to play it from your command zone. You flash it in and then use it to flash the other thing in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in love with instant speed stuff, so I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a great utility card as well. It gives you that element of surprise. It's not as good as a Vidal Canori, and I think you have to build a little bit around it because it's legendary specifically. But I mean, even giving artifacts Flash is really powerful. I
mean, if it's your commander, you built it so that 80% of the stuff in your deck is either an artifact or a legendary.
Yeah,
and maybe I'm not sure about the sagas. We'll see.
We will see. But yeah, this card's really sweet. I like it. I'm going to be putting it in a lot of decks because I have a lot of powerful artifacts to flash in.
I think this is the 3rd or 4th best legend in the set so far that we've talked about.
Yeah. Again, giving yourself options and giving yourself the ability to say, all right, well, I could play my Solemn Simulacrum right now, or I could wait until end step and see if I would rather play this instead,
Plus, I can flash it in and block with it.
Yeah.
We saw on the game nights with Kenji and Gabby how there was a certain point in the game where Kenji could attack, and he looks at me and he goes, well, and I had Vidal Canori out, and he's like, it's just too scary to attack you because you could flash in anything and just eat my thing. So he couldn't. So just having the Vidal Canori out, which is what Raph is, will deter a lot of aggression coming at you because they don't know what you could play and then block with.
Yeah, it's also a card that people just don't want to waste removal on.
Yep.
But it does you a ton of good.
Okay. The next one is Rona, Disciple of Gix or Jix?
Gix.
Disciple of Gix.
Guy in French.
Okay. Oh, Guy is in French.
I don't know.
Okay. 1 a blue and a black for a 2/2 legendary creature, Human Artificer. When Rona enters the battlefield, you may exile target historic card from your graveyard. And then you may cast non-land cards exiled with Rona. So don't exile land when you do that. And then you can pay 4 and tap Rona, and you can exile the top card of your library. So she can kind of weirdly draw you cards.
Yeah. It's interesting. For a 3-drop that buys back an artifact or a legendary or a saga, that could be interesting. I think with sagas it's cool because those cards get rid of themselves after they reach the 3rd chapter. Mm-hmm. So Rona has a little bit of extra value there. But I think you'd really have to build around this to make it really good. And 4 to tap it is a lot of mana.
It's a lot of mana. It seems like you can get value better in it's blue-black. There are a lot of ways to sort of get stuff back from your graveyard.
Yeah. I mean, you may be able to find a way
cards.
to exile other things in other ways with this card and then cast them as well. But it seems like a lot of work for a card that may not be that powerful.
I mean, you still have to cast the card. It'd be one thing if you cast it without paying its mana cost.
Yeah.
Then I think she would be awesome, of course.
Of course.
Probably too good. That's why they didn't do that.
This one's cool, though. Shalai, Voice of Plenty.
This is sweet.
Yeah, 3 and a white for a 3/4 legendary creature, Angel with Flying. You, planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof. So not Shalai herself, but pretty much everything else you have on the board, planeswalkers and creatures. And for 4, a green and a green, you can pay 4 green to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Neat.
This is great.
Count me in.
I think this is going to see a lot of play.
Yeah, I could see this thing playing standard as well too. It's just a finisher. It's a 3/4 with flying.
Protects you from like red burn.
Yeah.
But in our format, we'll often just play an equipment or something that protects. And if you think about like Swiftfoot boots, doesn't cost a lot less than this because of the equip cost. And Shalai comes down and basically says, if you're going to use spot removal, you got to remove Shalai and then the thing. So it has like a what's that creature that counters Kira, Great Glass Spinner kind of feel to it. Also pumps your entire team. It's a Gavany Township because those are 1/1 counters that it puts on.
Yeah.
So I really like this card a lot. It's very efficient. 4 mana. Yeah.
And our favorite metal artist, Victor Adam Minguez, drew it.
This could be Victor Adam. This could be a commander.
Yeah, I could see that. It's unfortunately very creature-based, and I just don't like those decks in general.
But if you're going to build a creature-based deck, having a commander that protects your board and pumps it is pretty good.
Pretty good.
And you get green because it's got a green activation cost. So you're in token colors.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Another green-white commander.
Shauna, Sisei's Legacy, just costs green and white, so 2 mana. For a human warrior, it's a 0/0. Shauna can't be the target of abilities your opponents control. So not spells. Spells can still target Shauna, but abilities cannot. Shauna gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. Yeah. Even if it just had hexproof and did that, it still would be meh.
Yeah, she is paying, paying her respects to Sisei herself, but Captain Sisei, we all know, much more powerful card.
Oh, yeah.
Here's another card that I almost built for Brawl, but I don't think has enough support. It's Slimefoot the Stowaway, your local fungus king. 1, a black and a green for a 2/3 legendary creature fungus. Whenever a sapperling you control dies, Slimefoot deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. And you can pay 4 mana to create a 1/1 green sapperling creature token.
I think this is sneaky one of the better ones for Commander because
for sure.
It's basically Blood Artist for Sapperlings, but it also, Blood Artist doesn't say create a creature on it.
Yeah.
For 4 generic mana, doesn't require it to tap. So all you need is infinite mana and a sack outlet, and you win.
Yeah, each opponent as well. Blood Artist, I think, only targets 1 person. So pretty good. I like the fact that you can make the Sapperlings at instant speed. I think that's great. And it's not that bad, 4 mana,
No, I mean, the fact that it's 4 generic.
Yeah.
Just means that, like I said, if there's a million ways to create infinite mana, decks do it on accident sometimes. So as soon as you do that, all you really need is a sack outlet, and it's just over.
Not to mention, this is a new member of the Weatherlight, according to the flavor text.
It's a 3-drop, too, so you could potentially be comboing out early. Ashnod's Altar is so good with a card like this because you sack it, drain everybody. That makes 2 mana that helps you get toward the 4 mana you need to create another one.
Yeah, with the doubling season, you just infinitely win right there because you just make 2 tokens each time.
Yeah.
And you get 2 mana, or 4 mana by sacking both of them.
So there you go, doubling season, Ashnod, Slimefoot, win.
Win, yeah. You like winning the game, right, guys?
People don't like combo kill sometimes, which I understand, but I'm just saying that deck will do that.
Okay. Whew, man, we're almost done with the freaking legendary
This looks
creatures.
like exactly the same as Nezahal.
Yeah, it's got a lot of similarities, except it's not an Elder Dragon, I guess.
Is it an Elder Demon? No. Okay.
It's Slin Voda, the Rising Deep. It's an Elder Leviathan.
It's not Elder.
It's just a Leviathan.
They only put Elder if it's a D creature type.
True, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So we'll be waiting for the next
Elder Deviathan.
6 blue for an 8/8 legendary creature Leviathan with a kicker. 1 in the blue. I lied. There's 2 cards with kicker on our list.
We're probably going to be wrong. There's probably more. Okay.
When Slin Voda, the Rising Deep, enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, return all creatures to their owner's hand except for merfolk, krakens, leviathans, octopuses, and serpents.
I love that card from like Theros or whatever.
That bounces everything but...
it's a sorcery that does that?
Pretty much these cards.
So this is 10 mana, have an 8/8 that bounces everything.
Yeah.
It basically bounces everything. Although there's some merfolks decks running around now. There's a lot more, so that might be a little bit inconvenient. Sure.
But I think your 8/8 beats them anyway, which is nice.
Maybe. Merfolk decks tend to have like 50 things.
True.
Oh, yep. This is... You got to read this one.
Turns out he's back. It's Squee the Immortal. 1 red for a 2/1 legendary creature goblin. You may cast Squee the Immortal from your graveyard or from exile. So originally Squee would be bounced from your graveyard to your hand. I believe he only costs 2 in a red, but now in this case you can cast him from your graveyard. He's a recurring threat. I don't see him being played that much in Commander necessarily. Casting from exile is kind of neat, but I could see him being more of just like he's just the 2-1 that keeps coming back. He's annoying.
Yeah. I don't know. Doesn't seem that great.
Nope. But you know what? Squee, you tried, and that's okay.
You're trying to make Squee feel better?
I don't know. I mean, he seems like he needs it.
Okay, the next one is Tatiova, Benthic Druid. 3, a green and a blue for a Merfolk Druid, 3/3. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain 1 life and draw a card.
You do not may. You just have to.
Oh, sorry. You gain 1 life and draw a card.
Yeah.
So landfall, draw a card, gain 1 life.
Pretty good.
Really good. Super good.
Yeah, I don't know if this is your best blue-green commander, but it's definitely in the blue-green deck going to draw you a lot of cards.
I don't want them to build the best blue-green commander anymore. They've already done it.
Yeah, like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah. So it's fine now that's still better than every red-white commander. So
now here is a card that has high potential. It's Teshar, Ancestor's Apostle, 3 in the white for a 2/2 legendary creature bird cleric with flying. Whenever you cast a historic spell, return target creature card with CMC 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Woo-wee. 3 or less. That is a big berth of cards in terms of things that you can bring back. Creatures with 3 or less. That is pretty nuts. I think this is just amazing in a deck that obviously has a lot of 3-drops or lower, like a very low CMC sort of. I could see in like a more competitive build, and it's a historic spell. So anytime you do it, artifact, boom, free 3-drop.
Yeah, it's cheating on mana cost again.
Yeah,
and you're playing. It's not like an additional thing. You're playing an artifact and then just getting, like a 3 CMC creature out of your yard.
Yeah.
That seems pretty good. Actually, that is card advantage in white, and it might be a viable mono white deck just because it's a commander that has card advantage on it.
You think so?
It's possible. I'm trying to think of another mono white commander that has card advantage on it like that. There really isn't one. And that's kind of mono white's problem. So
yeah.
Okay. The next one is Tiana, Ship's Caretaker. It's a legendary creature, Angel Artificer, costs 3 red and a white, so 5 mana total for a 3/3. Whenever an aura or equipment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So it kind of makes your auras and equipments hard to kill.
Yeah, I'd say auras are the most important part here. I mean, your equipment's aren't going to get removed as much, but
there might be auras that you sacrifice on purpose.
Yeah.
And kind of cycle, get it back, do it again.
Could be better.
It's a little bit of card advantage for Boros, but it's not the right kind. It's too specific.
Yeah. Next up, we got Torgar, Famine Incarnate. 6 black for a 7/6 legendary creature avatar. This dude looks scary.
He looks huge.
Yeah. It's way too big for me.
Well, he's an 8 CMC spell, so.
Yeah, he's a 7/6. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may sacrifice any number of creature, and this spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature sacrificed this way. Huh. So it can cost up to black if you sacrifice 3 creatures, because it won't reduce the colored mana cost. And when Torgar enters the battlefield, up to 1 target player's life total becomes half their starting life total, rounded down. So half their starting life total, not their current life total. So if in Commander, it would take it to 20.
It can do 20 damage to somebody, though, for black.
Yeah, I mean, if someone has infinite life, too, it could just take them straight down to 20. It doesn't divide infinite by half,
See,
so.
you don't need commander damage.
Yeah. The cool thing about this is that if you have a deck that wants to sack things already, this is a sweet way to just have additional value on top of it.
A zombie deck that just has a lot of tokens lying around, too.
Yeah, even like the Sapperling deck, deal even more damage to people that way, and then you bring this guy into the battlefield. And you can sacrifice any number of creatures, so you don't have to just do 3. You could sacrifice 1,000 if you wanted to.
True, just if you had Blood Artist or something out.
Yeah.
Or Slimefoot.
Slimefoot.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is in the 99, though. It's probably not a commander.
Yeah.
It gets way less good when they know about it, too.
Yep.
Okay, the next one is Valduk, Keeper of the Flame. 2 and a red for a 3/2 human shaman. At the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to Valduk, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. What was our preview card that created?
Right of the something flame.
Right of the Raging Storm?
Right of the Raging Storm. Right of the Raging Storm, correct.
Right of the Raging Storm. That was like one of our first early preview cards. It made 3/1 elementals.
5/1s, actually.
Oh, 5. Oh, jeez. Well, I'm just way off. Okay.
They're called Lightning Ragers.
And it made them further, whatever. Okay, so this is nothing like that. Forget whether they said that. This is unrelated.
It's similar.
Do you remember that card? You do?
Yeah,
okay,
I do,
good.
I do.
Moving on to Valduk.
Well, just a brief history lesson. Boy, back when we first got spoiler cards, that
was cool.
They were okay.
Remember that? That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome. Valduk, though, I mean, if you stack this guy up, you can make a bunch of 3/1s and then hit someone with them, and then you exile him. Woo! Red.
From Jimmy the Red, everybody.
Yeah, I wish it was better. But it is kind of cool. You don't see that kind of effect this often.
It's too bad SRAM wasn't red-white.
Yeah.
If SRAM was red-white, then a lot of these red-white cards would work in it, and like Valduk would be sweet if you can just get 10,
Yeah.
10 auras and enchantments or an equipment onto them.
All right, we got one more. I just had to include this because this is the card you don't want to see when you open the pack. It's Yargle! Glutton of Urborg. 4 in the black, legendary creature frog spirit for a 9/3. That's it.
No. It says, when Belzenuk's lieutenant, Yarkul, grew too ambitious, the demon lord transformed him into a maggot. The frog that ate the maggot grew and grew until a ravenous spirit burst from its body.
That's 9/3. So basically, when this enters the battlefield, you create a maggot token, and then a frog token enters the battlefield after it, and then it immediately sacks the maggot token, and then...
No, because that would be good, because stuff would be happening and dying. This is literally just 5 mana, 9/3.
It's a legendary creature, though, so if you want to make a commander deck out of this, and you want to play me or Josh at the GP, I will sit down immediately and play with you.
I mean, one thing I will say about this card is, it's a Brawl Commander.
It is... It's got brawl potential.
Okay, so those are the legendary creatures that we're going to talk about. We're going to move on now to the new planeswalkers. There are 3 in this set.
My head hurts.
Yeah, so, and in Brawl, we should remember that planeswalkers can be your commanders.
Right.
So these are actually commanders in Brawl. The first one is Jaya Ballard. She's back.
Ballard, I think.
Jaya Ballard.
Thank you.
She's back. She costs 2 red, so 5 mana total for a legendary planeswalker. Jaya has 5 loyalty. You can +1 her and add red, and then spend this mana only to cast instants and or sorceries. You can +1 her, so she has 2 +1s, and discard up to 3 cards, then draw that many cards. That's pretty good.
Card draw.
And then you can -8 her ultimate, and you get an emblem with you may cast instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard. If a card cast this way would be put into your graveyard, exile instead. So then you sort of Snapcaster Mage all your instants and sorceries.
Yeah, which is really neat. It's just it doesn't need to be there. You can cast something and then have it enter there and recast it again.
I mean, as ultimates go, though, not that great. Because it doesn't, you have to cast the stuff spill.
Yeah,
still.
She comes in at 5. You got to get her up to 8. But, she can ramp you and she can draw you cards.
Yeah, it's good. She's just going to get attacked and died, but it's good.
But she didn't die the first time that her daughter thought she was dead in the story, the Vorthos magic story.
Right.
And so maybe she won't die on the battlefield in case as well.
All right.
She can be your commander, though, in Brawl. Next up is Karn. He's made a return. Scion of Urza. I think he's the villain of Dominaria.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, the trailer has him very menacingly talking about how he's going to, perfect the world or whatever.
I thought you just said, Autobots transform
into me, shiny metal man.
Let's roll out.
4 mana for a 5 loyalty planeswalker, Karn. +1, reveal the top 2 cards of your library. An opponent chooses one of them, put that card into your hand, and exile the other with a silver counter on it. So no matter what, you're going to draw a card. And the -1, put a card you own with a silver counter on it from exile into your hand. So if Karn stays alive, you're going to get both of those cards.
Yeah.
And his -2, so it doesn't
if you want.
Yeah.
See, if one of the cards you don't really want it, you can just be like, I'll just do that mini factor fishing thing again. Yeah,
which is cool. But here's the thing, he doesn't have an ultimate. He just has a -2 that says, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control.
So the creature itself is an artifact, so it's always a 1/1.
Yes.
And then if you make 2, then they're both 2/2s, and it kind of, what is that? Pack rats.
Yeah.
A little bit. Or rats. Rats in general kind of do that. Care about how many rats you have.
Yeah. So Karn's pretty neat for a 4-drop. I don't think he's that powerful particularly. He will draw you a card, and it's a colorless way to do so. I could see people playing this in a mono red deck.
You get the worst of the top 2 cards in your library, though, I guess?
Yeah, and it's better than no cards at all, I guess. And you have the chance to potentially get it back. Look, if you're playing a mono red Artifact Matters deck, I would potentially, maybe, not put him in.
I wish his -2 was put a card with a silver counter on it into play.
Oh, gosh.
Because then think of the position you're putting your opponent in when they have to choose.
Right.
Well, I give you a card now. Do I give you the better one
so
that you don't silver counter?
Well, then they're always going to just give you the instant or sorcery, right?
Right. So then they're not always giving you the best. It's like they have to make a decision. It's like sometimes I have to give you the best card now so that you don't cheat it into play later.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that would have been more
Fortunately,
interesting.
it's not the case. Next up, we got Idris Elba, hero of Dominaria. This is Teferi. Gosh, if Idris Elba could play this character in the movie, that would be sweet.
Teferi, hero of Dominaria, 3 white and a blue for a legendary planeswalker, 4 loyalty when it enters. You can +1 to draw a card, and then at the beginning of the next end step, untap 2 lands. I like how they put it at the beginning of the next end step. They're trying to stop all the Chain Veil Infinite shenanigans, maybe?
Yeah, well, it also matches up well with another card.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Well, actually not that. Well, either way.
Then you can -3 to put target non-land permanent into its owner's library, 3rd from the top. It's interesting. And the ultimate -8, you get an emblem with whenever you draw a card, exile target permanent and opponent controls. Now, that is a win the game ultimate, right?
Yeah,
there.
that's a win the game ultimate. That's
whenever you draw a card.
Yeah, this is going into the Super Friend decks immediately for that ultimate. Not to mention you just get to draw cards with it, which is better than nothing.
Exile target permanent, too, so, lands.
Yeah. Every time we draw a card.
Bing, bing, bing.
Jeez Louise.
You ultimate and then Consecrated Sphinx, and it's just game over.
I wish these things could just happen, but unfortunately, those are big dreams to have.
I mean, they can happen, but here's what's going to happen directly afterwards. I cast Consecrated, or I ultimate Teferi. Okay. I cast Consecrated Sphinx. Okay. I scoop.
That's good.
I
or
scoop.
Everyone goes like, okay, well, we just have one goal now.
Yeah.
It's just to kill you as fast as possible. And it probably won't happen because it'll be exiling your best things.
All right, those are the 3 new planeswalkers. So now we're going to go through...
Hold on. Are any of them good for Brawl?
Oh.
Karn is almost impossible, I think, to make in Brawl because you have to do a colorless
I don't
deck.
actually think any of them are because none of them really protect themselves. Actually, I think Karn, at least Karn's minus makes creatures.
Right.
I think we said this a couple episodes ago. I think that in Brawl, and also if they ever changes in Commander where planeswalkers were legal as commanders, they wouldn't actually be that good.
Right.
Because they can just get attacked and die most of the time, and most of them don't do a great job after you play them of not being immediately killed if a whole table really wants to.
Yeah.
And the whole table can really agree because it's not the same as hitting somebody in the face.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I can just kill that for free by attacking, so I'm going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this card I included because I love the art by Jesper Eising, all of our favorites.
Oh, Jesper.
Unfortunately, it still does not do the thing I wanted to do, which is give red a little bit of help in a certain area. It's Haphazard Bombardment. 5 in a red for an enchantment. When Haphazard Bombardment enters the battlefield, choose 4 non-enchantment permanents you don't control and put an aim counter on each of them. So you can choose 4 things around the battlefield you don't control that are not enchantments, so it can be lands. And at the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more permanents you don't control have an aim counter on them, destroy one of those permanents at random. So you're basically saying, I want to get rid of 4 things that aren't enchantments on the battlefield. At the beginning of my end steps, I'm going to be able to get rid of 1. And then the next end step, I'll get rid of another 1. And then
Then that's it.
And that's it, yeah.
But it's random. So you're saying...
Well, if 2 or more, so you get 3.
Oh, at your end step, if 2 or more permanents you don't control have an aim counter. Oh, so when you're down... So you're going to get 3 of the 4.
Yeah.
In 3 successive turns, which is forever.
Yep, and it doesn't target enchantments, which I was like, the one thing that red can't do and still cannot do.
Well, yeah, this smacks of Morrow or somebody being like, listen, red doesn't touch enchantments, so let's put non-enchantment on there.
Anyway,
that bombardment is haphazard.
Yep.
All right, the next one is Jaya's Immolating Inferno. This is our first legendary sorcery, and it is legendary. It's red, and X.
This card's sweet.
Remember, legendary sorcery means you can cast the spell only if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. Jaya's Immolating Inferno deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets. 3 targets!
Targets. Players. Permanents. Not permanents. Planeswalkers.
It's it's really good.
Yeah, especially because it's if you pay 4 and a red, you're doing 12 damage to low for 6 mana. It just goes up from there. So it's very good in my Neheb deck. Obviously,
I was just gonna say Neheb. It's freaking scary.
Yeah, so good stuff.
Because it either comes out after everybody's taking damage and it hits them and kills them, or it's the thing that creates the damage that creates a ton of mana from Neheb.
Yeah. Siege Gang Commander is back. Just wanted everyone to know. 3 red, cool new art. This card is just, in general, great. It creates 3 1/1 red goblins, and then if you're playing a goblin deck, you can just pay 1 in a red to sack it, and then Siege Gang will deal 2 damage to any target, including himself. So you'll notice that the errata is here because of the new redirect damage to whatever is gone, so it's just to any target, which is kind of neat.
It's good in Grenzo.
Yes, indeed it is. All right, here's our first enchantment saga. Josh, take it away.
All right. Our first saga, The Flame of Keld. 1 and a red for an enchantment saga. Remember, as this saga enters, and after your draw step, you add a lore counter. And the rules on this are a little bit weird. Danny Batterman, who is our judge for game nights, was explaining how like there's not even a trigger really. You can't.
It doesn't use the stack,
so it's safe. Like they can't like respond to it. You're gonna get this effect after your draw step. If they don't destroy it basically before your upkeep or during your upkeep, then it's gonna happen. So when you play it, the first chapter is discard your hand. Seems bad. That doesn't seem good.
No.
So then on your next turn, you go to your draw step, and then after that, you go to the chapter number 2, which is draw 2 cards.
That's better.
That's good. And then
the next literally the only one of the few red cards that just says draw cards on it.
Yeah. Well, red cards do say that. They also say discard stuff, so it's in theme. And then the next turn, chapter 3, is if a red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player this turn, it deals that much damage plus 2 to that permanent or player instead. So Perforos.
Yeah.
Double the amount. Although that doesn't tend to matter because by the time Perforos is really doing its thing, it's gonna just kill everybody usually.
Yeah, I think this card is just mediocre. It's obviously a build around. You don't want to play this until it's maybe your second to last card in your hand, and you're hoping to discard a card like Past in Flames, or how do you have a Past in Flames in the graveyard? So it's interesting.
Could be good with like Garna.
Yeah.
Discard your hand, play Garna. Now get all those creatures back in your hand.
The problem with all of these Saga cards is that they very clearly broadcast what you're going to be doing far before you do it.
This seems like a card where... Oh, sorry. If you could manipulate the counters and keep removing it when it goes to 2, remove it, goes to 2, you could jump through a bunch of hoops to draw 2 extra cards per turn, but red may have to do stuff like that. Although red can't manipulate counters usually, so never mind. Okay.
All right, that's it for red. Let's move on to white.
Daring Archaeologist. It's Indiana Jones, or it looks nothing like Indiana Jones. 3 and a white for a Human Artificer. 3/3. When Daring Archaeologist ETBs enters the battlefield, you may return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Wish it was to battlefield, but it would be really good. And then whenever you cast a historic spell, you can put a 1/1 counter on Daring Archaeologist.
Yeah, so you get to hand. So if you have any on-cast triggers, sure. But otherwise, you'd rather play a card like Refurbish that just gets it to the battlefield. That's a sorcery. But yeah, this guy could get big. This lady could get big. So it's aight.
Meh. And white decks don't tend to be artifact decks.
This card's weird.
Go ahead.
It's a new enchantment saga. It's Fall of the Thran for 5 and a white. The first chapter, when you play it, destroy all lands.
So 6 mana Armageddon.
Now the second and third chapters, which happens after your draw steps, each player returns 2 land cards from their graveyard to the battlefield. So you get to rebuild up to 4 lands before Fall of the Thran leaves the battlefield, and then all the chapters are done.
Okay, question. Never mind all the like weird corner cases where you manipulate the counters or do some shenanigans. If you just play this card at face value and it does its thing, chapters 1 through 3, does that make its form of mass land destruction acceptable in Commander?
I think not really.
No.
Because you're still not winning the game. The only upside is that this kind of is fair to other people, that they get some lands back, and you're the one that gets
You
them
think they're
back
going to
first?
be any more happier than if you had just Armageddoned?
No. Well, yes, moderately, because it gives them a glimmer of hope. But honestly, you'd only put this in the deck where you want to be returning land cards to your battlefield, where you could abuse that second part of the effect.
Oh, I think you could just play it as another Armageddon, too, if you're the type of deck that's, would normally want Armageddon.
If you're that type of person.
Yeah. All right, the next one is a legendary sorcery for white. There's one in each color, spoiler alert. Urza's Ruinous Blast, 4 and a white. That was the sound of Urza's Ruinous Blast, everybody. Whoa. Urza's Ruinous Blast sounds like a lot of ghosts or something. It sounds scary.
We are been exiled.
Okay, 4 and a white, legendary sorcery. Again, you can only cast it if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. Exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary.
That's cool. So if your commander's out, it will stay on the battlefield. That's the only way you can cast it, too, if it's a legendary card.
But again, if their commanders are out, they'll stay on the battlefield.
Yeah, but this does exile all non-land permanents. So we're talking artifacts, non-legendary enchantments. You definitely, it's a build around if you're going to put this kind of board wipe in your deck, but it's also just a great clear all.
Yeah.
So.
And it's only 5 mana. Usually the sort of all non-land permanent wraths are like 6, 7, 8 mana. So, but again, it's going to sometimes not solve your problem.
Yeah.
Speaking of legendary sorcery, we're moving on to blue. This one is really good. Why'd they give blue the best one? Blue's already fine. Blue doesn't need help. Go ahead.
Karn's Temporal Sundering. The art, out of control good. 4 blue for a legendary sorcery. Target player takes an extra turn after this one. So we've got extra turns back in standard. Return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Exile Karn's Temporal Sundering. So you can bounce a permanent and take an extra turn. So it's not just to take an extra turn card, which is crazy. It's real crazy.
It exiles itself, so they're trying to get around, like, you know, endless turn shenanigans with this thing, but I don't care. Extra turns are already a little too good, and then you also get to bounce something, and it's non-land permanent, too. Couldn't it just been creature, at least? Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, you get to bounce something, and then if it's one-on-one, you just get, like, maybe it's their last blocker, you know?
I just don't like extra turn cards in general. I know I do play a deck that has some, but I don't even like it when I do it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. The next one, Precognition Field. This is the Minority Report card. Yeah. 3 and a blue for an enchantment. You may look at the top card of your library. You may do this at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's an instant or sorcery card, and then you can pay 3 to exile the top card of your library, for instance, if it's a land or something that isn't an instant or sorcery.
Yeah, it's like a very expensive scry that gets rid of the card forever. But every time I scry something to the bottom of my deck, I'm just like, see you in another lifetime.
This seems really powerful in the sort of spell-heavy decks like Mizzix and things like that, Kess, because it just gives you access to... I think what people don't see when they see cards like this is you cast the top card of your library, right? You drew a card, but then it actually opened up the new top card of your library, so if that's an instant or sorcery, you can cast that one, so then it drew you 2 cards.
Yeah.
So it has the ability to draw you multiple cards depending on if you kind of get lucky or you stack the top of your deck. I think this card's really good in those decks.
Yeah, and you can get rid of the top cards of your library, so you can control your... I mean, if you have an instant-based deck, you sort of sit there and be like, all right, I don't want this card, I'm going to pay the 3 mana just to get rid of it instead.
Also, just knowing the top card of your library, because you can look at it, it doesn't have to be an instant or sorcery.
Right.
Just knowing it sometimes helps you make decisions with other cards. So
yeah.
All right.
The Antiquities War, another enchantment saga in blue. It's 3 in the blue. And the first 2 chapters both say, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So for chapters 1 and 2, you're going to essentially be able to draw 2 cards off of this if you have artifacts in there. Chapter 3, artifacts you control become artifact creatures with base power and toughness 5/5 until end of turn. So obviously an artifact-based deck, maybe you're casting those artifacts that you drew, and at the 3rd chapter, they're all going to become big old 5/5s.
Seems good in the Joyride deck. One thing I've learned about Sagas, having played Brawl a number of times now, is it's very telegraphed and very slow. And so
slow.
Yeah, so you look at that 3rd thing and be like, sweet, I'm going to play a bunch of cheap artifacts. I'm going to find more with this card. They're all going to become 5/5s. Just, I got news for you. Everyone's going to see it coming from 3 turns away.
Yeah. If they can't stop it in that period of time, maybe they deserve to get hit by all those 5/5s.
Yeah, they're going to be able to stop it. There's just not very many commander decks that if you present them with that kind of threat, the whole table isn't going to be able to do anything. Yeah. Okay, the next one is the Mirari Conjecture. 4 and a blue. Oh, sorry, it's an enchantment saga for 4 and a blue. Chapter 1, return target instant card from your graveyard to your hand. Pretty good. Chapter 2, return target sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. And Chapter 3, until end of turn, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Again, this is very powerful. And on that 3rd turn, it doesn't care if the spells you're copying are the instants and sorceries you drew with the first 2 chapters, right?
Yeah.
So you could just already have a bunch of spells in your hand kind of saved up.
So I think it's a pretty interesting card. I don't know if it's something that I necessarily would play, but...
it's going to be interesting. I mean, do you think Sagas in general... I just feel like the way they roll out is not super conducive to multiplayer.
No, it's going to take forever. It's 3 turns, and unless you have a way to manipulate the counters, that'd be cool, right, if you could do that. But unfortunately, it's going to be a lot of like, all right, well, pass the turn, and then the next turn happens, and then you wait another turn cycle for the third one to happen, and then by that point, so much is going to have changed on the board that maybe your plans... I find it very hard to be planning or proactive with a card like a Saga.
Yeah, I think the only Sagas that are going to be really good are the ones where Chapter 1, when it enters the battlefield, are good. Yeah.
All right, next up is a common, the only common we'll be talking about today, I believe. Grow from the Ashes. It is, however, the 3rd card with Kicker we're talking about today. It's a sorcery for Kicker 2. Now, for 2 and a green, you just search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. If the spell was kicked, insert your library for 2 basic land cards, put them onto the library, then shuffle your library. So this is actually better in a lot of ways than something like a Rampant Growth because it depends on how you're curving out, right? If you pay 3 mana, you actually get a mana back because that land comes into the battlefield untapped.
It's exactly, yeah.
So that's the big difference. And if you kicker it, then you get 2 lands back. So for 5 mana, you're actually kind of only spending 3.
That makes it kind of, I'd say, better than Explosive Vegetation.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. It's paying 5 for 2 untapped lands. It just depends on how you can use your lands. Obviously, there are only basic lands here. But it's interesting because very few of these ramp cards usually can put cards into the battlefield untapped. So I thought that was interesting to point out.
Yeah. All right, the next one is Kamal's Druidic Vow. It's the legendary sorcery from Green. Green, and X. Look at the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of land and or legendary permanent cards with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest into your graveyard. So it's kind of Genesis Wave, but for legendaries.
And lands.
Genesis Wave does lands
too,
that's
true.
Yeah.
It's okay, I think. You need to have your deck, obviously, with a lot of legendary cards.
I wish it said historic.
Yeah, me too.
It'd be way better because you could get artifacts too. But the fact that it's just legendary, there's the green. Oh man, I'm blanking. But there's the green legendary card from like Kamigawa or whatever that cares about legendary spells or permanents.
The ones that puts them on the battlefield.
It's like Reki or something.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
So Kamal's Druidic Vow. There you go.
All right, next up is another enchantment saga. This one in green. 1 in the green for Song of Freyalise. And the first 2, this is one of the ones that you use because chapters 1 and 2 actually affect the board immediately. Chapter 1 and 2. Until your next turn, creatures you control gain tap, add 1 mana of any color. So that is very powerful.
It turns all your creatures into Birds of Paradise?
Yeah, for 1 turn only. But then it happens again on the second chapter for the second turn. And then on the third turn, it says, the third chapter, it says, play +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible until end of turn. So the idea being the first 2 turns you have this out, or first 2 chapters, you're able to ramp, play a lot bigger spells, more creatures, make more tokens or whatever. And then by the third turn, all those creatures gain Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible. So that's actually really powerful because you're not punished by just turning them all vertical, not sideways at some point.
True, because they have Vigilance.
Yeah. So you're not punished because they're all indestructible and they have Trample too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's okay. I'd still rather just play Cryptolith, right? I wish it gave it more than +1/+1.
Yeah.
Because that feels like it's just not big enough pump. And everybody sees it coming. So if that pump is scary because you have enough creatures, then they're not going to let this happen.
Yeah, again, things, unfortunately, are very broadcasted, telegraphed.
The next green card is Sylvan Awakening, 2 and a green for a sorcery. Until your next turn, all lands you control become 2/2 elemental creature tokens with reach, indestructible, and haste. They're still lands.
So until your next turn, they're amazing blockers.
Yeah,
because they have haste and... they have reach. If you want to attack with them, they have haste.
I wish it untapped 3 lands. So that, all your lands could be ready, but you have to use 3 of them to cast the spell.
True. All right, here comes another enchantment saga. This one in green again. The Mending of Dominaria. Really awesome art. By the way, the art frames on these are great because it's just a full frame, but top to bottom. So it's like these little portrait thingies. I don't know how you describe it. But look, it's got that panther from before.
Yeah,
it's got
does.
Freyalise.
And it's got Karn.
And Karn. And then...
Why is Karn green in a green spell?
Well, it's because it's about it's the story of how Dominaria got mended
gotcha.
or sorts.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And then, of course, good old Teferi, I believe, at the bottom there. 3 green. The first 2 chapters both say, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So that's kind of neat. You mill 2, and then you can draw a card. And then the third phase, which is the most interesting to me, the third chapter, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then shuffle your graveyard into your library. So if you've been dumping lands or any other way, by the third chapter, you've ramped a ton. But
5 mana?
5 mana for the Mending of Dominaria is also a little...
Yeah, I don't think this is good. It's too slow.
Too slow.
The sagas are cool ideas, but I just don't think they're generally good for Commander.
Yeah.
Speaking of sagas, we're now on to black now. Chainer's Torment, 3 and a black. Chapters 1 and 2. Chainer's Torment deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you gain 2 life. Couldn't it say gain life equal to the life lost this way? Chapter 3, create an XX black nightmare horror creature token, where X is half your life total rounded up. It deals X damage to you.
Oh, what? So you're basically, if you're at 40 life, you make a 20-20, and then you get on 20 life.
That's bad. It's just bad.
But you are gaining a life in the first 2 turns. So
if it said equal to the life lost this way, then no, still bad.
Yeah, it's still bad. But, we got to talk about them all because they're new cards. All right, next up, we got Lich's Mastery. 3 black for a legendary enchantment. It has hexproof on the enchantment. It also says you can't lose the game. And it also says whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. And it also says whenever you lose life, for each 1 life you lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard. And when Lich's Mastery leaves the battlefield, you just straight lose the game.
Lich was a card, right? So this is just the new version of it.
I guess.
Too risky.
It's cool though. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. This is the kind of card that you have to play and like win immediately, because for each 1 life you lost. So if you lost 5 life, you have to exile 5 permanents you control or 5 cards from your hand or graveyard in any combination. Like that's a lot.
You have to play Aetherflux Reservoir, then the next turn play this and go off and win.
You know, I was thinking about playing this in Brawl in our game, and I was thinking like, this is one of the few ways I may be able to guarantee that I can win as long as I don't mill myself out. You know, just play it and be like, can you deal with this enchantment that has hexproof in Brawl?
You don't need to deal with it. You just need to deal damage to you, and then as soon as you take 5 damage, it's game over for you.
Yeah, but think about it. If
you've
just
exiled 5 of your permanents.
But if you have more cards in your library than someone else and you're just drawing to death, then you win.
Wait, what?
Because the other person's going to mill out before you do, right?
No, they just have to deal damage to you, so you'll have nothing. Oh, because they can never get rid of it.
Yeah, you can't ever get rid of this thing.
Oh, right.
Oh, wait. Yeah, from your hand or your graveyard.
Oh, so it doesn't matter. You'd be like, no, because eventually you have to exile
you're
this
right.
as
You
a
have to
permanent.
exile itself. You're right.
So once you're down to just this as your only permanent,
Yeah,
they deal
you're
damage
right.
to you, and the Lich's Mastery goes. Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I should. It's a good thing I didn't play it.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, it would have been very hilarious.
Okay.
This card may be the only playable enchantment saga.
This is the Mythic Saga, so it's 2 black. It's called Phyrexian Scriptures. 4 mana for a chapter 1. Put a 1/1 counter on. I'm getting discombobulated.
It's so hard to talk about these cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 black. Chapter 1. Put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That creature becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. Chapter 2. Destroy all non-artifact creatures. So you can sort of like protect your creature and destroy all the rest. And then Chapter 3. Exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. That part is actually pretty good in our format.
Yeah. I mean, Chapter 1 saves a creature from the board wipe in Chapter 2, and then Chapter 3...
But the problem is they see Chapter 2 coming.
Yeah, but at the same time, you play this, and it's not like they can return creatures to their hand. You play
it's a good point. And Nev's Disc is that type. It will have the Nev Disc effect.
Right.
You play it, and they go, well, I'm not playing anything. I'm just going to wait for that thing to blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I think this is playable. Not great, but playable.
It's the best of the enchantment sagas so far, I think.
Yeah. Okay. On to the legendary sorcery from Black. Yawgmoth's Vile Offering.
Ugh, this card's art.
Noah Bradley knocked it out of the park in this.
Yeah, he
set
did all
in
the
general.
legendary sorceries, I believe.
It's 4 and a black for, again, a legendary sorcery. Put up to 1 target creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. And then destroy up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. And then you exile Yawgmoth's Vile Offering. So
that's cool.
Kill something, revive something. And you can put a planeswalker.
Yeah, from anyone's graveyard.
Yeah, from a graveyard into the battlefield under your control.
Look at this art. It's
the art is
cool.
so sick.
Yeah. Very, very neat.
I mean, newsflash, Noah Bradley. Pretty good.
Yeah. I really like this card a lot, actually. I think it's a
Yeah.
very, very playable card because you can get planeswalkers back.
You can kill planeswalkers with it.
Yeah.
Good in Brawl.
Very good in Brawl, actually. Especially if someone's got planeswalkers like Manor.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Oath of Teferi, he's going to keep watch as well. Looks like he's joining the Gatewatch here. 3, a white, and a blue. Legendary enchantment. When Oath of Teferi enters the battlefield, exile another permanent target permanent you control. Return to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So very Teferi thing to do, flicker something. And you may activate the loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice each turn rather than only once.
That's really good.
So many times I've been like, well, he can't ultimate the planeswalker next turn, so we don't need to worry about it right now. You can play Oath of Teferi to plus and then minus, So
plus and then ultimate,
yeah. So this card has a lot of explosive potential, I think.
Yeah, that's going to be an extremely scary card. And the fact that you can play it after the planeswalker's out.
Yeah.
To sort of mess with it. Yeah. Ooh, that's a good card. I know Cassius is going to play that, and it's going to get me.
It's going to get you.
Yeah. Oh, this one's good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you build your deck right, it's good. So, Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. It is a legendary sorcery, a multicolored legendary sorcery. So, it's 5, a white, and a black, 7 mana. Return all legendary permanent cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Legendary permanent cards.
Yeah, so this means if you have, for instance... Guy's Cradle.
Any Planeswalker.
Growing Rights of Itlamok as well. Cards like that. They're all legendary. Any Planeswalker.
Obviously creatures, legendary creatures.
Yeah, 7 mana is steep, but in terms of how many cards you can get back with this, is pretty sweet. Especially because all legendary cards that you have probably going to be pretty powerful.
I mean, I think remember, legendary sorceries, you need a legendary creature or planeswalker on the battlefield to cast them. But in our format, because you always have access to one of those, I think these cards are all pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, next up is the first equipment. We're on to artifacts now.
Is this Dakon's?
It looks
sword?
like Dakon's blade. Well, here's the thing. It spilled the blood of one Elder Dragon in Gideon's hands. It may yet taste another's.
Oh.
So I think it's talking about Nico Bolas.
Oh.
But Black Blade Reforged may have been Dakon's. Actually, let's just take a look at Dakon right now. We'll pull up the art as well, see if Dakon Blackblade...
Doesn't look the same. It looks more like a katana.
Yeah, but his name is Dakon Blackblade, and this is, Dominaria after all, so...
I think I'm just going to choose to remember.
Actually, you know what this 100% is? So the flavor text of Dakon Blackblade is, my power is as vast as the plains, my strength is that of the mountains. Each wave that crashes upon the shore thunders like blood in my veins. So that's all 5 of the colors, right?
Yeah.
And Blackblade Reforged is a 2-drop artifact equipment, legendary artifact equipment that says, equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control.
You're right.
There you
it's
go.
Totally Dakon's.
Yeah, so, and it's got 2 equip costs.
Oh, this is weird, yeah.
Yeah, to equip a legendary creature with it, it only costs 3. To equip any other creature with it costs 7. So only legendary creatures are going to be trying to hold this Black Blade. It says that they can hold it a little more easy than anyone else.
Voltron, here we go. Commander damage. Prove me wrong.
Prove
Black
me
Blade
wrong.
Reforged.
All right,
Suit it up.
Moving
Do it.
on.
All right, I'll see you in GP Vegas. Okay, Damping Sphere is a 2 mana artifact. If a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces colorless or diamond mana instead of any other type and amount. And then each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn. So it turns off Gaia's Cradles, Sarah's Sanctums, even Temple of the False Gods. Ancient Tombs. Yeah, they all only just tap for 1 colorless mana. And then it kind of like you keep a storm count, but the count is actually how much you're going to be taxed on the next spell.
Yeah, I think this is actually a really interesting card in general. If you know that your playgroup runs a lot of those big mana creators in lands, then awesome. City of Traders too, I think.
Yep.
So...
it's pretty good.
I think it's actually built more for Legacy.
Yeah.
Because you do play City of Traders a lot in that format as well as Go Off in Storm. So, but it's a card that potentially might see a lot of play in Commander, as this one does. It's a reprint. Gilded Lotus is coming back. Brand new art by Vulcan Baga. 5-drop artifact. Add 3 mana of any one color to your mana pool. So, good card. Just so you guys know, it's going to be back, and the price will be down a little bit, and you can go buy it at cardkingdom.com/commandzone. Because the foil of that one's going to look nice.
Yeah, that's true. The next one is Helm of the Host. It's a 4-mana legendary artifact equipment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except the token isn't legendary if equipped creature is legendary. That token gains haste, and it's equipped 5. So this is pretty unique in that you're making copies of your legendary creatures
that stay around forever.
Yeah. By the way, it doesn't say
affected
until end of turn.
Yeah.
And they're kind of Sakashima copies in that you can have... So this is going to open up a lot of strategies that weren't possible before, I think, where you can, maybe get 2 or 3 of your commander out or whatever.
Yeah. Cool. It's cool.
It costs 9 to do it, though. 4 and then 5 to equip.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is such a unique effect that maybe it's worth it.
All right. We have a Mox in the set.
Yeah.
It's Mox Amber. It's a 0 mana cost artifact, legendary artifact, sorry. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. It has to be of a color, too. So if you have a legendary creature or planeswalker that's colorless, it won't affect the Mox Amber.
Yep.
This looks better than it is. I think it's not going to be amazing. I think it'll be decent. But the fact that it can't help you ramp out your commander is pretty... Well, I guess it could if you had another legendary creature. But in general, that's not tapping for mana until turn, 4, 5?
Yeah, and it requires to have it on the battlefield, so it's not like you're getting it turn 1.
It's probably good in Joyra.
Oh, it's amazing in Joyra. Are you kidding me? Thran Temporal Gateway is a 4-drop legendary artifact that you can pay for and then tap it to put a historic permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. So we've seen this a lot before with other cards that put just creatures on the battlefield or cards of a specific type.
Yeah, it's Quicksilver Amulet for historic.
Historic, yeah. So again, artifacts, legendaries, and sagas. So again, Planeswalkers, a card that you can thwap out with a Thran Temporal Gateway.
Thwap it out.
Thwap it out.
Those wascally wabbits. All right. We have the Weatherlight, which is the famous ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12. Just kidding.
Parsecs.
Okay. It's 4 mana for an artifact, legendary artifact vehicle. It's a 4/5 with flying, but it has crew 3. When Weatherlight deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a historic card from among them and put it into your hand, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So it kind of like Glint Nest Cranes for historic when you do combat damage.
It's a 4-drop. It also is crew 3, so yeah. The point of this is that Joyra can crew it immediately.
By yourself?
Yeah, by herself.
It's still, man, just too many restrictions. You got to get it out, crew it, swing, and do combat damage, and then you draw a card.
Now, here's a card that I'm on board with. We're on to the lands, and it's Cabal Stronghold. You can tap it to add colorless, or you can tap 3 and tap it to add black for each basic swamp you control.
So Bingo. It's Cabal Coffers number 2, kind of.
Yeah, it costs a little more.
But it taps for colorless. With Cabal Coffers, taps for no mana at all. So it's completely worthless until you have Urborg. This is like fine until you get Urborg, in which case it turns into, an additional 5, 6, 7, 10 mana.
Yeah.
Also the art.
Yeah, also the art. Sweet. And this card is just you're going to play it in any mono black deck. Any deck that's even 2 color with black is pretty good.
Yep. I don't know what else to say
It's a
about it.
little tougher for 2 black, two colors, but it's still...
But you usually run the Urborg package anyway.
Yeah.
So you just Expedition Map and Urborg and something else to get it. I think it's still fine. It's still great.
Yeah. All right. Finally.
Jeez, we're to the end here. Okay. Whew,
let's talk about the best of. So we added this little segment. We're going to talk about the best of the new legends, the best overall new card, and the best planeswalker.
Okay. Spice this up. Let's do it at the same time. We'll go 3, 2, 1, and then we'll say...
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to do best legendary creature, right?
Yeah.
But it's like best new commander.
Best new commander, yeah.
Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1,
Muldrotha.
Yes. Hands down. Who's second? 3, 2, 1, Joda. Okay. We're on the same page. All right. Overall card. This one's interesting. Mm-hmm. Let me look on your paper here. See if there's a... Okay.
I know what I'm going to say.
I think so. I got mine. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, Cabal Stronghold. You guys... I didn't know you could do that.
Would you have said Muldrotha?
Yes.
All right, so it's still on the same page. Okay, cool.
I was thinking non-legendary. Let's have you do non-legendary.
Non-legendary? Okay,
but I already said Cabal
take a look.
So.
In that case, I'm going to go with Jaya's Immolating Inferno.
Oh.
Just
I would have gone with Karn's Temporal Sundering as my second.
Oh, you know what? That probably is better because it doesn't require... they're both legendary sorceries, so they require you to have a legendary out. Yeah, okay.
Okay, and then the best Planeswalker. There's only 3 to choose from, so this one's...
Where are they?
Yeah. I don't even
Okay,
know.
here we go.
Okay.
Tell
me when you're ready.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1,
Muldrotha.
Karn.
Dang it.
You keep cheating.
Jaya Ballard, I think, would have been my top. Just because it's got card drawing ramp on it.
Yeah, it's true. And it's mono red.
Yeah. But Karn is also really, really sweet. So.
Okay. All right. To the listeners.
Okay. Jeez.
What cards from Dominaria are you most excited about?
Yeah. And for which decks, I would love to know if you guys have some cool stuff that we don't think we're going to work, Josh is scribbling out the end steps so viciously and voraciously. You can probably hear it on the microphone.
I'm like, do you see what I'm doing?
We do not need to do the end step this time.
It's too long, the episode already.
But one thing that we will do is say...
I marked my playmat.
You can put that in the washer. Or you can go to cardkingdom.com/commandzone to buy a brand new one, just like that. You did mark it up. I mean, but we are not doing the end step this time. That is for sure. Card Kingdom, again, sponsor of the show. All of these cards that we talked about will be available there in some form or another, in foil or whatever. Get it, pick it up now, do it to it. You're going to want to because it's worth it. And
also,
you're supporting the show.
If you somehow ruined your favorite playmat and you need to buy a new one, you should buy an Ultra Pro playmat because they make the best playmats. And you can put the playmats into the washer too.
Yep.
Because if you mark them up and you ruin it somehow and you're sad about it.
It's not ruined. It's just, now you're just smudging it. We got to get a little alcohol wipe or something. I bet we can get that out for you, Josh.
I'm sad about it. Dang it.
It's
all your fault, end step.
Yeah. Ugh. You know what? At the very least, you could put, a card on top of that, like a Muldrotha or something. No.
Yes, speaking of Muldrotha, be sure to check out our sister podcast,
The
Masters of Modern. Alex Kessler and Ben Bateman, they talk about the modern format and all things competitive Magic. You can find them right next to us at collected.company or follow them on Twitter at the MMcast.
Yeah, you'll find out why a card like Muldrotha will never be played in that format. And also, the show is now edited by Craig Blanchett. Thank you, Craig, for taking over the podcast editing duties so Terry can move on to game nights. You can find our episodes online at youtube.com/thecommandzonepodcast, and also a big thanks to the one and only Geoffrey Palmer for making the living card animations that are sometimes on our back windows during game nights and our podcast, as well as the opening and closing animations of the show on YouTube. You can find him at Living Cards MTG on Twitter.
All right, everybody. Thanks for sitting through this incredibly long episode.
And we hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Thank you for your attention. For further inquiries, send an email to commandcast@rocketjump.com or ask us on Twitter at JFWong and at Josh Lee Kwai. See you later, alligator.
Greetings, humans.